Good evening. I'm Cassandra Moore, Director of Admissions. Welcome to Arundel Community College's Town Hall. Before we get started, let's discuss virtual etiquette. Next slide, please. Make sure your microphone is mute. Your video is not set to display. Do not share links in Q&A, and send all your questions, ask all your questions in Q&A. I am pleased that you've chosen to spend your evening with us. Arundel Community College, under the leadership of Dr. Lindsay, is prepared and ready to help your student. Be assured, your student will not be alone in their educational journey. Next, we have Dr. Lindsay. Next slide.
Thank you, Cassandra. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us for our virtual town hall today. We certainly know that these are unprecedented times, and Anne Arundel Community College is here tonight to showcase the educational gem you actually have in your county. We are a national leader. Next slide, please. We know that high school seniors had to adjust their expectations as proms, graduations, and senior trips were reimagined. Rising juniors are wondering, what is the next year going to look like for them? And we know that you as parents also have a lot of questions. Are your students considering a gap year? Are you nervous about them attending a residential university away from home? Are you rethinking your fall college decisions altogether? And you may be wondering if college is worth the cost. Most importantly, we know that we want to keep your kids safe. We understand and we get it. The thought of having your children away from home, living in communal spaces, sharing communal dining, and maybe even using communal bathrooms can seem a little unnerving in the present environment. Or paying tens of thousands of dollars to have them home taking classes online from a four-year college. It may or may not be the best choice for your family budget. We hope tonight's session will begin to answer your questions and help you make the decision for your family. To start, we have decided to offer all of our summer and fall classes entirely online. There will be some limited exceptions, such as in our healthcare areas or other courses that do require some face-to-face time. We believe this is the right decision because we know you need flexibility as you reset your schedules and adjust your goals. With this decision, we are able to build a robust schedule that will help maintain the health and safety of our community, meet the needs of all of our 18,000 students, and help us continue to move forward collectively. Rather than starting with face-to-face classes, as a number of other colleges are choosing to do, and potentially disrupt the learning mid-semester, which is actually what happened this spring, switching to online, we believe the best path is to fully commit to doing online now. And rest assured, online is not new for us. While all schools, K through 12 and higher, all alike, went online this spring, not all online learning is equal. We have been offering online learning since 1990s, so we have more than 2 decades of experience teaching and helping students learn effectively. You will hear today how our online courses work and what makes them different from other college experiences online. We offer extensive support services too, and you'll hear about those as well and how they operate in a virtual environment. Often these services can make the difference when transitioning from high school to college. My own son is a community college graduate. Clearly, as a college president, I knew I wanted my son to have the best educational opportunities, and he and I agreed that the community college was the best place for him to start. Why? Our faculty, our discipline experts, are the ones teaching the classes. We don't have graduate assistants or teaching assistants in the classroom. We have the discipline expert. We offer smaller class sizes, an array of services that assist our students, and classes that transfer to a four-year college through what's called an articulation agreement, which you'll be hearing about later. Their degree will say whatever four-year college they're graduating from when they transfer with an AA degree from Anne Arundel Community College. 2 years community college, 2 years bachelor's degree, and then on the title of the diploma, it will say Stevenson or McDaniel or wherever they're choosing to move to. Community college was the best experience for my son. So please keep in mind that whatever you decide, we are always here to help you. Whether your student starts here and continues elsewhere, starts here and goes right into the job market, starts somewhere else and picks up classes here over the winter or summer breaks, starts somewhere else and finds it's just not a good fit, and then comes here to regain their footing and continue moving forward. You can even earn a bachelor's degree and come here to get additional certificates and career changing. As we like to say, at any age and at any stage of life, you can redefine yourself. If there was ever a time for redefinition, as individuals or organizations, as a community, now would be that time. Whatever you decide, we are always here to help you. You are always welcome at Arundel Community College. And with that, I will turn it over to Cassandra. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lindsay. Next slide. Selecting a college with strong student support is very important. During times of uncertainty, your student may need extra support, including the support of a group of professionals who will serve as your student's care and success team. Next, Dr. Felicia Patterson, Vice President, Learner Support Services.
Thank you, Cassandra, and good evening, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us on this virtual information session. As Dr. Lindsay alluded to, Arundel Community College is really about serving the needs of our very diverse community and having high quality, affordable, accessible, and innovative lifelong learning opportunities. In Learner Support Services, we're really about promoting student-centered learning, encouraging student development, and then engaging students throughout their entire college experience in advancing diversity and inclusion, providing innovative services, programs, and resources to ensure student success and completion. As you might imagine, our approaches have changed somewhat as we are in this new normal, but as Dr. Lindsay indicated, much of it really has involved expanding and strengthening areas in the remote environment. Next slide, please. So we approach our services by assisting students from before they actually enter the college to helping them transition, working with them as they navigate through the enrollment and registration process, and ensuring they have what they need to persist and complete their goals. Next slide. A few areas I'd like to highlight. Our onboarding process is now done virtually with our admissions team. We'll work with you to bring you into the college and make sure you are what we would call Riverhawk ready. We want to identify the best starting place for you by placing you in the right courses. And part of our mission is affordability. We have a number of financial aid options available as well, and you will hear about those. And we certainly want to make sure through our orientation process, we bring you into the college and give you as much knowledge as possible to help you be successful. Next slide. We do have academic advising available in a variety of formats. For our virtual advising, we use Zoom as a platform. There's also a student planning software that will allow students to track their progress towards degree. And for those students who are unsure of exactly what they might want to study, you'll be assigned a personal and career counselor who will assist in identifying or helping you to solidify your interests and goals. We also have a number of technology supports for students, both in person for when we are in person and remote. And for those students who may need support with access, we have a limited number of loaner laptops and MiFi available. We didn't run out this semester, so we expect that we seem to have enough available for students who might need support with access. We also have a technical call center and help desk available for supporting students as well. And for those who need even some additional supports, we have a number of services. Our Student Achievement and Success Program, which you'll hear more about, is available to all students, but targets those who might need more one-to-one help or might be the first in their family to go to college or need some specific assistance, perhaps as a member of the military or as a veteran. Our tutoring services are vast. They're accessible through our writing center. We have something called Smart Thinking, which is 24/7 support, and a math lab as well. Next slide, please. Outside of the classroom, we're still focused on helping students develop through leadership opportunities, clubs, and student organizations. We have a variety of ways to check on student well-being in terms of health and wellness, including emergency support with food. We're shipping items to students or other items as needed, such as textbooks or transportation. And we want to do so to make sure that we create an environment that's equitable and inclusive for all students. Next slide. So here are a number of ways that you can contact us for support. Please reach out to us. We're happy to assist you in any way possible. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Patterson. Learners and educators are at the heart of what we do at Arundel Community College, and we are committed to positive learning experiences for your student. Dr. Michael Gavin, Vice President of Learning, will discuss how our faculty are prepared to deliver superior instruction in a virtual environment. Next slide, please.
I wanted to say thank you for sharing your evening with us and follow Dr. Lindsay and Dr. Patterson's presentation by underscoring the work that we're doing at the community college. We've been engaged in for quite a while, not only with remote and online instruction, but with a commitment to ensuring that students of all kinds and all ages, depending, no matter where they are in their life's journey, have access to education that is quality of the highest tenor and also gives them access to a better life. Next slide, please. We, as Dr. Lindsay has already articulated, at Enrolling Community College have been engaged in online learning for quite a long while. We have a slew of agreements for students to benefit from with four-year universities, both in Maryland and outside of Maryland, where an associate's degree can lead to a clean transfer, and often with financial and other kinds of benefits for students upon arriving at a four-year university based on contracts and memorandum of understandings that we've developed that are student-centric. And we also have programs of many kinds that lead to right into the workforce. We have what are called credit programs and non-credit programs, both of which are allow for students to gain entry into the workforce. The associate's degree, the credit programs, are those that you're probably most familiar with. They are those that allow for college credit. Non-credit does allow for some competencies in learning that often lead to a certification of a certain kind of skill that a student may get and therefore have access to any number of jobs, many of which are very well paying and sometimes take less than a year to obtain. We also have an honors program that is top notch in terms of the quality that we offer through it, but also of similar articulation agreements where a student may graduate from an honors program at Arundel Community College and also gain access to an honors program at institutions like UMBC, Hood College, and Morgan State, to name a few. One of the things that Dr. Patterson had illustrated through her presentation is the support services that are wrapped around students, both inside and outside the classroom. And we have a moniker that we live by, that we are not really looking, we believe that we are preparing the college to be student ready rather than having the college be measuring whether students are ready for us. One of the next slide will illustrate to you some of the work that we're doing to prepare for online and remote education. We have for a long time been delivering education of the highest quality online, and I wanted to share this video with you so you could see how in some of the disciplines that you might think we could not deliver high quality education, we actually do. This is a video from our mechatronics program, which is basically the development of machines and fixing machines that we are already delivering online, and some of our faculty put this video together for you. So if I could have that play, that'd be wonderful.
Our mechatronic graduates are employed in many diverse Maryland industries. They were essential employees before there was ever such a thing. They get the job done. The machines of today are complex and sophisticated. Technicians now need to have experience with not just computers, but with electronics and mechanical parts. This is what makes up mechatronics. At AACC, we've been doing this for 10 years. Our foundation has always been hands-on group projects. We do our best to make it fun and challenging, but we want it to resemble industry. Students learn elements of electronics, mechanics, and robotics. They become a jack or Jill of all trades. We want them to be able to use their hands as well as their heads. A typical mechatronic class before the pandemic was full of people wiring, building, or fixing something. The COVID pandemic goes against everything that we are about, but local companies need our graduates. We wanted to tell you that we are still open, and this is our plan for fall 2020. Students will have face-to-face access to mechatronic instructors online and be able to ask questions about all the stuff they may not understand. We're also using an interactive learning system with videos and graphics that explains everything involved in mechatronics. Every student is going to receive a kit of components for their respective course. A student taking electronics will receive a kit full of different electronic components to build with. In our mechanical systems course, we're going to provide all students with a 3D printer. Students will reverse engineer the printer as well as print their own mechanical parts to build mechanical systems. Students will use pneumatic and electrical circuit simulators, which give a good understanding of how real-world systems work. One example is Factory.io. This program allows students to quickly build and test a virtual factory using a selection of common industrial parts. Here's a video showcasing a robot designed and built at home from one of our students. Students use the C programming language and an Arduino microcontroller to control the robot. The hands-on aspect is the most important part of our program, and the virus is not going to change that. For more information, please email Peggy Walton at plwalton@aacc.edu or Tim Callanan at tmcallanan@aacc.edu. Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you soon.
So thank you. That video was really meant to show that our faculty, no matter what the discipline is, are ready to deploy education in an innovative and hands-on way. And then the last slide of my presentation simplifies the work that we do at Arundel Community College. Everything that we do is meant to help your students and you transfer to a four-year school cleanly, to deliver the skills and the knowledge that help one to get into the workforce. And we also are building an honors program and have built an honors program that is well received. I saw two questions that I can answer real quickly. Just because we're focused on remote environments, we are trying to plan, should conditions allow, for certain disciplines to be on campus. I saw one question about theater. That might be, if conditions allow, we are planning to have some theater in fall in a safe environment that is aligned with guidelines from the governor and the federal government. So we are trying to bring some disciplines safely back on campus, and that is all contingent upon how and where the pandemic is in terms of its status. But we are slowly trying to plan accordingly. And Cassandra, I'm going to turn it back to you now.
Thank you, Dr. Gavin. Next slide, please. The admissions team and I have had the privilege of working with you and your students for many years. And throughout the years, we get asked some of the same questions always. Will I have to figure out Arundel Community College by myself? Who will help me understand the steps to enroll? Who will help me understand about paying for college? Who will help me understand the courses required for my major? And how will I secure a seat in the class? I want to reinforce that your student is in great hands. At Arundel Community College, we are here and we are happy to assist. Let's get started with becoming a student. Next slide. All students must submit an application for admission. And once you submit an application for admission, we are going to reward you with the confirmation email, and we're going to ask you to activate your MyCC account. MyCC account, your MyCC account and the portal is where all the business of being a student happens. This is where you can view your financial aid. This is where you can view your grades. This is where you can register for classes. All of that happens within the MyACC student portal. So it's instrumental in your students' participation in AACC. The next thing we do, we have ways, we want your student, let me start over. We want your student to get off to a great start with us. And we have many ways for that start to happen. And we look at how we place your students into courses. And in order to determine their placement, we accept the ACT, the SAT, the AccuPlacer, and the high school transcripts. And let me add, for early college access program participants, you'll do all those things. We'll accept the ACT scores, SAT scores, the high school transcript, and the AccuPlacer placement test, but you'll do two more things. You will submit an early college access program application, and you will consult with admissions officers to determine the best courses for you to take. Now I've discussed submitting an application. I've discussed activating your MyCC account and why that's important. We've discussed the ways to determine placement. And the next question I always get is, how will I pay for college? My colleague Tara Carew, Director of Financial Aid, will elaborate, but the next step is to simply apply for financial aid. Submit the free application for federal student aid, commonly known as the FAFSA. Let me encourage you to never miss an opportunity to lessen the burden, the financial burden of your student and your family. Now, we're all on our way to becoming you're on your way to becoming a student at Arundel Community College, but there's much more to learn about us when you attend a virtual orientation. Attending orientation will aid in your students' transition as they learn of the resources that will support their success and their great start at AACC. We're almost there. Next slide, please. Now, who will help me select classes and register? Parents, your students will have the support of their field of interest academic advisors. And in this collaboration, the tools that will be at your students' disposal will be our schedule of classes, program planner, which includes the courses required by major, and course search. Next slide, please. You've done it. You completed the enrollment process. Welcome to Riverhawk Nation. Congratulations. One more thing. Next slide. Your student will be invited to personal registration day at the high schools. We've done it for over 20 years and we'll continue to do so in a virtual environment beginning June 9th. So expect to hear from us very soon. Next slide. As families, we're always concerned with costs. And then when it comes to education, figuring out how to pay is very important. I want you to know that our financial aid professionals are your students' advocate. Here to elaborate is Tara Carew, Director of Financial Aid.
Thank you, Cassandra. This evening, I'd like to take a few minutes to talk with you about financial aid and paying for college. Next slide, please. When it comes to paying for college, a two-year school can be a smart way to start your college education. For example, if you're considering a bachelor's degree, you have the option of completing a two-year associate's degree at a community college before transferring to a four-year school to complete your degree. Going this route offers several benefits, including saving on tuition and fees. Looking at an average of Maryland's four-year schools, you can see that attending AACC for 2 years with tuition and fees around $4,000 a year, and then continuing to a four-year school for an additional 2 years with tuition and fees close to $10,000 a year, a student can save over $11,000 in just tuition and fees when compared to attending all 4 years at a four-year institution. Plus, even with a relatively low cost of tuition and fees, nearly 1/3 of the community college students receive financial aid. Next slide, please. So how do I apply for financial aid? You will hear this every time we discuss financial aid. It all starts with the FAFSA. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid, and you can find the FAFSA application on studentaid.gov. If you haven't had the opportunity to fill out your FAFSA yet, now is the time to complete your application. At this time of year, we actually have 2 FAFSAs to choose from. We have the 1920 FAFSA, which will be required for summer aid because summer is the last semester of our 1920 financial aid year, and the 2021 FAFSA, which will be used starting with fall of 2020. If you plan on taking summer and fall classes, be sure to fill out both FAFSAs. While you're on the studentaid.gov website, be sure to look around. The website also offers information on grants, scholarships, loans, and aid for military families. Something that's still relatively new that we like to mention is the FAFSA mobile app. Students and parents can complete the FAFSA using the My Student Aid app right on their phone. We also like to encourage all of our students to fill out the AACC scholarship application. At AACC, we have one scholarship application, and by completing this application, you'll be considered for more than 200 scholarships. Last year, AACC awarded over $1 million in scholarships to our students. A number of our scholarships are need-based, so we strongly recommend completing your FAFSA before completing the scholarship application. Our scholarship team is awarding scholarships for the fall now, so I would recommend filling out your scholarship application as soon as possible. The Maryland Higher Education Commission, or MHEC, also offers a number of scholarships and grants for Maryland residents. Visit the MHEC website to review state scholarship options. Most scholarships will require a FAFSA, but deadlines and requirements vary. While you're on the MHEC website, take a few minutes to set up your personal account with MD Caps. On MD Caps, you can apply online for certain scholarships, check your application status, and accept your awards. Next slide, please. So you've completed the FAFSA. What's next? After completing the FAFSA, please regularly check your My AACC email address for notices and requests for additional information. If we need information, we'll reach out to students through their My AACC email account. You may see a notice that you've been selected for verification. Approximately 30% or 1/3 of all applications are picked by the Department of Ed for a process called verification. Verification is a routine process where students will be asked to complete a verification worksheet and provide copies of all required tax information. You may have encountered special circumstances. The FAFSA process determines each student's or family's financial need based on the prior year's income. We know that situations can change. Now, the good news is that the federal regulations allow the financial aid office to make adjustments for certain financial situations that are not reflected on your current FAFSA. We consider each situation on a case-by-case basis, and income reductions must be documented for a minimum of 6 months. If your income for the new tax year will be significantly lower than your income for the prior tax year, you might be eligible for an adjustment. When your financial aid application is complete, you'll receive an offer letter. Be sure to read your offer letter carefully. Grants are often prorated based on the number of enrolled credits, and some scholarships require a specific number of credits. If you're interested in a student loan, for example, you must be enrolled in at least 6 or more credits. If you have questions about your offer letter, please contact the financial aid office. Next slide, please. The Early College Access Grant awards $200 per semester to students who demonstrate financial need and are duly enrolled in high school and AACC. Because this is a need-based award, students are asked to complete the current year FAFSA. This is an excellent opportunity for students to begin filling out the FAFSA before entering college as a full-time student. Students will also need to submit an ECAG application to the AACC Financial Aid Office. The application is available on the AACC website. Remember to complete your AACC application process and register for your classes. Last but not least, always remember to set up your My AACC email address, because all communication from the financial aid office, including award notices, will all come through your My AACC email. Next slide, please. The Maryland Community College Promise Scholarship is the last dollar scholarship that will award tuition and fees to students who plan to enroll in credit or non-credit coursework that leads to a certificate or an associate's degree, or a sequence of courses that leads to licensure or certification at a Maryland community college. So who can apply? Any Maryland high school graduate or GED recipient who is planning to enroll or is currently enrolled at a Maryland community college and earned an unweighted high school GPA of at least a 2.3, or while enrolled at a Maryland community college, at least a 2.5 or its equivalent. The student must be eligible for in-state tuition and complete the FAFSA or the MISFA by March 1st. Now, the MISFA is the Maryland Financial Aid Form for Maryland residents who are ineligible for financial aid. The MISFA is available on the MHEC website. Eligible applicants must meet income restrictions. If you complete your FAFSA or MISFA by March 1st and you met the income requirements, MHEC will notify you by email. Be sure to watch your email. You will need to submit additional documentation to MHEC and have a complete financial aid application at AACC. Be sure to log into your MD Caps account for more information. This year, keep in mind that all documentation must be submitted by July 15th. A couple of important reminders. To receive this award, you must be enrolled full-time and you must not have already earned your bachelor's degree or an associate's degree. And here's a note, if you listed only 4-year institutions on your FAFSA or MISFA, and now you plan to attend to a community college, you can change your school of choice by updating your enrollment on MDCAPS and adding your new college to your FAFSA or MISFA, but make sure again that we get everything completed by July 15th. If you are interested in taking a non-credit sequence of courses, you need to complete the non-credit application online through MDCAPS. This application has a rolling deadline, so be sure to watch the MHEC website. The promised non-credit application will become available in MDCAPS after June 1st. The last item of note, new in 2020, changes were made to the Maryland Community College Scholarship Program. The service obligation and the age requirement have both been eliminated in an effort to offer more students funding to attend a community college. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Tara. Next, we have questions and answers. I've noticed that we have answered 16 questions within the Q&A. We have one question that I want to address, and is, can there be some discussion about the rising seniors that will be taking classes at AACC during their last year of high school? How has the enrollment process changed now that students cannot complete the in-person sessions that were supposed to happen in high school this spring? So I'm going to answer one part, and Sarah Eager will answer the other part. We continue with the Early College Access Program. We're still enrolling students. We have much interest in that program. It is a seamless process. What you'll do is you'll submit the application and you will select non-degree as your major. We can, if you're a high school senior, if we have your end of 11th year grades, you can send those to us. That can determine your placement. And then you will sit with an admissions officer in my team, and we will help you select those classes. Now, the school counselors have been working with us, and when you connect with your school counselor and indicate your interest in participating as an early college program participant, there's a form that they will send to the cashier's office with a note saying, I approve Cassandra Moore to participate. And with that note and that form, our cashier's office will process so that you will obtain the 50% tuition reduction. That is all you need to do. And if you have any questions, I'm Cassandra Moore, csmoore@aacc.edu. And the second part will be about the on-location courses. And if Sarah Eager could answer that, that would be very helpful.
Hi, I'm so glad you asked about on-location courses. Students take early college access program courses with a 50% tuition reduction, as Cassandra said, online at AACC. And there are also 8 schools in the county where courses are offered. I'm going to say this carefully. They're offered on location in a usual term, although fall, as everyone knows, the courses are going to be online. So if you are taking interested in on-location courses, your school will still be offering them as planned. You will still go through the regular registration and enrollment process, kind of headed up by Cassandra's team. If you are at Arundel High School, North County High School, or South River High School, you have a transition advisor who will be reaching out to you to make sure you get through that process. And if you're not at one of those schools, someone from an admissions officer from Cassandra's team will be kind of spearheading and a point of contact with the counselors at your school. So really get in touch with your high school counselors and they can walk you through that process. And if you have any trouble with the process, if you go to aacc.edu/ECAG, ECAG, it will walk you through step by step all the pieces, all the documentation. Everything now can be done through email, except that ECAP form is a little tricky because you have to get some signatures on it. And the other thing that website will help you do is locate your school's admissions officer. so you can get directly in touch with them if you have any AACC specific questions. Hope that answered the question fully.
Thank you, Sarah. Now we have another ECAP question. Have a high school junior planning ECAP in the fall? Just confirm that this will be rolled out in high schools around June. Now what that means is we're offering personal registration day. And personal registration day, just like it would have been in the high schools, we're doing it virtually by high school, and we will be starting with Arundel on June 9th. And so whatever high school you are, we have a registration page. We work very closely with academic advising along with strategic communications, develop a registration page for personal registration day. Your student will be invited to participate. However, if you have more questions about that process, it is Cassandra Moore, csmoore@aacc.edu. I'll be happy to answer your question. I may even call you. Just understand that when I call you, it'll be through Google Voice. I'll send you an email and let you know that the call will not look like it's coming from AACC, but it is. Thank you. Another one, have a paper that says if you took FOCA, Foundations of College Algebra, you don't need to take the Placer, or at least if you have a 2.6, I need a little bit more information before I answer that question. So please send that question to me. It's a little bit more involved. I need to ask you if you took it for a year, a semester, what age you are, if you're a junior or senior, and what school, was it North County or where it is. So I need a few more answers, and then you'll get my personal attention at csmoore@aacc.edu. Let's see, are there any other questions? I believe that is it for now. Next slide. You've received a lot of information, your great questions. Let's get started here. When the admission team conducts information sessions, there are questions about transfer and how it works at Anne Arundel Community College. And more importantly, at Anne Arundel Community College, your student will be prepared for their transition to a four-year college or university. This evening, we have two transfer experts. We have Mr. Marcus Wright and Dr. Khadijah Richmond.
Good evening. Thank you again so much for joining us, and thank you for the wonderful introduction, Cassandra. So Marcus Wright is here with me. He is the Director of Transfer Articulation and Career Alignment. I work in the Academic and Advising Office, and together we're going to answer some questions about a seamless transfer from AACC and for some students to AACC and beyond. Next slide, please. So to your left of the screen, we're going to talk about some ways that we go about planning a smooth transfer. One of the top things we do is look at your academic program or major. We want to make sure the major you select at AACC aligns with the school you want to transfer to next. You're going to work with your academic and transfer your academic and transfer advisor to make sure that that major aligns so that we can properly align your credits. We also have discussions about cost of attendance, tuition and fees, room and board at that four-year institution. And as Tara mentioned in her slides, the savings are a large reason that students choose to attend AACC. We talk about financial aid and state aid, accessibility. And what we mean by accessibility is how close is the institution you want to transfer to where you're going to live, where you're going to work. We want to make sure that you have a seamless process in being able to be a student as well as live your life. We talk about transfer scholarships and provide you some resources for obtaining those. We also talk about course offerings, which are really important. If you're someone who works and needs evening classes, we're going to discuss which institutions are going to best align for you. And if you're someone who needs to take your classes online, we're going to talk about which institutions are going to suit you best. We also talk about regional accreditation, and ultimately your academic and transfer advisor will assist you in creating your transfer timeline. Now, some important things to note. Your academic and transfer advisor will stress the importance of engaging with your admissions counselor at the four-year school. Oftentimes students ask, when should I start planning for transfer? The answer is early, even now, tonight, and often. You want to continuously review your plan for transfer because things can change. The four-year institution is going to determine how your credits transfer. When you work with your advisor, We are already experienced in looking at the four-year institution's website as well as our own, and we can help you find how those courses are going to transfer. We also want you to consider those additional costs. Sometimes students forget to think about travel, living expenses, laundry. So we want to make sure that that's in your bottom line when we talk about how much it's going to cost to attend that four-year institution. Next slide, please. Some of the transfer tools that we use when you're working with your advisor, one tool is called ArtSys, that's ARTSYS. If you do a Google search for ArtSys, it will come up. Most students choose to use the course equivalencies and the recommended transfer programs. If you select either of those options, you just want to make sure that you put that you're transferring from Arundel Community College, and transferring to, you want to select one of our Maryland public or private institutions from the list and select the major of choice. We also use a transfer equivalency database for those four-year schools, and we have a number of those on our AACC website under transfer services. We use the transfer admissions website to look at deadlines for transfer students, as well as any special application materials that are needed. And we also offer pre-transfer advising professionals that are on campus and right now that are virtually available for students. University of Maryland College Park, the University of Maryland Global Campus, formerly known as UMUC, and Salisbury University each have representatives that are available to answer questions and help you plan a smooth transfer to their institutions. University of Maryland College Park also offers something called the Maryland Transfer Advantage Program. We call it MTAP. It is a program that's designed for a smooth, guaranteed transfer to the University of Maryland. UMGC offers Community College Alliance Program, and we are also partnered with UMBC, that's the University of Maryland Baltimore County, TSA program, or Transfer Student Alliance Program. When you qualify for any of these programs, you will receive an email from your advisor letting you know of next steps. Next slide, please. So we've talked a little bit about planning a smooth transfer and the tools that we use. We also want to make sure that we include in our conversation students coming to us from various institutions and bringing credits. So from here, I'm going to hand it over to Marcus Wright to continue the conversation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Richmond. Many times we talk to students about transferring AACC credit to the next institution. And so we wanted to spend just a little bit of time of talking about credits that we receive. And so I always talk to students, the more that you're able to transfer in, the less credits you actually have to complete with our degree. And so pretty much we accept two forms of credit. And so we accept traditional credit and non-traditional credit. Traditional credit, we would accept up to 45 credits. Traditional credit will also come from an institution, whether it's a four-year institution or a two-year institution. So if you have attended say Towson University, or even if you attended another community college in another state, there's an opportunity for us to receive that credit and apply it towards your associate's degree with us as well. We also accept credits from international institutions as well. We would need to have those credits from abroad evaluated in order for us to actually receive that credit as well. But from those different sources, we would accept up to 45 credits. Just a note, it's about to actually get your associate's degree as well. So you definitely can transfer in a lot of credit, more than half of our degree. Additionally, like I said before, we have non-traditional credit. And non-traditional credit, we would end up accepting approximately 30 credits. And so listed on the screen are the different forms of non-traditional credit. If you think of credit by examination, where we have CLEP, also Dante's, or advanced placement for many of the high school students as well. So you may have taken an AP course and you may have taken that test and received a particular score. And so we would actually receive that score, and there's a possibility that we can actually award credit for you based upon the score that you received. In order for us to receive both non-traditional and traditional credit, we would need official transcripts from you. So if you have attended a 4-year or 2-year institution, or even an international institution as well, we would need official transcripts sealed in an envelope from each institution if you attended multiple institutions as well. In regards to non-traditional credit, we would need those test scores. So for AP, we would actually need your official score report from college board as well. Other forms of non-traditional credit, we accept IB credits as well. So if you have IB credits from your from your high school, we actually accept those credits, as well as military experience. If you served in our military, thank you for your service. Also proficiency. So with our county public schools, we actually have proficiency credit as well that we can actually award. And so we can award up to 15 credits. Again, all of these are ways of transferring credits to AACC in order to receive the associate's degree. Next slide. So we talked about transferring credits in. Now we wanted to speak to you all about the different types of degrees we have here. And so many times you may hear of associates of arts versus associates of science versus associates of applied science. It can become alphabet soup essentially. And so in the same, when you actually transfer over to a 4-year institution, if you desire to do so, you may see a bachelor's of science or a bachelor's of arts. And so at the community college, we have different types of associate's degrees, and they serve different purposes. Primarily, those purposes are whether you want to transfer to a 4-year institution or whether you want to go out into the workforce. And so just to kind of simplify things, we have transfer degrees, which would fall under our associates of arts, our associates of science degrees, as well as our associates of science and engineering, as well as our associates of arts and teaching. Transfer associate's degrees are intended for a student to transfer to a 4-year institution. The curriculum is designed to align almost like a lock and key, where you're taking coursework that you need in order to transfer. And so students that desire to transfer, we strongly encourage them to actually be in one of our transfer degrees. There's also state law that actually tells Maryland public institutions how to actually receive this credit at that 4-year institution as well. We also have career degrees as well. And so many times we have students that do not want to go and transfer onto a 4-year institution. And so we're serving several different populations because we are the community's college. And so we do have career degrees. So if a student is looking to change careers or anything like that, they can actually come and complete an associate's degree with us as well. And so those associate's degrees are applied science, so associate of applied science degrees. Okay, so we just want you to know the difference, and depending upon what you actually want to do. I know we talked about transferring courses and things like that. So if you are looking to transfer, we want to make sure that you are in a transfer type of degree. As I alluded to earlier with transfer, we have engineering and teaching. And so these type of degrees, as far as engineering and teaching that you see on the screen, they're statewide articulation agreements or statewide curriculum that we have agreed with many of the 4-year institutions, where you take that curriculum here at AACC and it transfers as a block of credit, okay? And again, we wanted to share the difference with you all to ensure that you all are informed as well. Next slide. All right, and we also wanted to share that our students go everywhere, right? They go everywhere in a sense where we don't have just one institution that students transfer to. Majority of our students, however, they do stay here in the state of Maryland. So as you can see, approximately 87% of our recent graduates transferred to a Maryland institution. And so Maryland institution is defined as a public institution and also private institutions as well. So we have a significant number of students that go to College Park, that also go to the University of Maryland Global Campus, which is more online. We have students transferring to Stevenson, Morgan State. The list goes on and on and on. And so many of our students, they choose to start here. And as you can see, they can finish anywhere. And so by working with your transfer experts, transfer advising, also academic advising, you can start here at Arundel and finish anywhere. And so we have several transfer agreements with many of these institutions that not only align and show you the coursework that you need to take in order to transfer seamlessly, but also it provides student benefits. And so I know we talked about tuition. Many of these agreements offered AACC specific transfer scholarships as well. And so you have the opportunity to not only save on tuition costs, but you can also save on even more with having a transfer scholarship that's going to help you when you transfer to that next 4-year institution as well. If you are interested in any of our transfer agreements, I want to encourage you to speak with a transfer advisor or academic advisor. You also could visit online as well. If you go to aacc.edu and just type in transfer agreements, you'll be able to see all of the current and active agreements that we have with 4-year institutions, both in state and out of state. And that list is always growing as well. Next slide.
Thank you so much. So again, we want to welcome you to Riverhawk Nation. We want to encourage you to take control of your transfer. We want you to also remember that you don't have to know or remember everything that we share here today. The experts are here. We are going to answer your questions, but we're also going to be available to you throughout the summer and for the rest of your journey here at AACC. We have experts who specifically work with students who are transferring, and they will help you in your AACC journey. They will tailor the information they give you to the school you want to go to the school you came from, and to the degree you want to earn. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Marcus and Khadijah. Next slide, please. This is a great time to take more questions for our panel of experts. Let's remind you about our virtual etiquette. Next slide, please. Same as before. And next slide, we're going to give you how to contact us, and I'm going to take some questions and send them and pitch them to our experts. We have one question here. What classes do you recommend for major in data entry? It's something I want to do. And we have what we call field of interest academic advisors. And when you look at the field of interest, this is how we group our majors under headings. And so when you look at architecture, there are courses under that. When you look at business, there are courses under that. Have a feeling the program that you're looking for is under the business model. But I would like to also offer the opportunity for someone from academic advising to take the question about what classes do you recommend for majoring in data entry. If someone from academic advising, and I'm going to call on Dean Bonnie Garrett to elaborate. Okay.
You have to make sure you're not on mute. I can take the question though.
Okay, that'll be great.
Okay. All right. So I would encourage you, go ahead and send an email to advising@aacc.edu. Your email will just tell them what you're interested in majoring in. They will tell you your field of interest. Make sure you give them your first and last name so that they can link you with your specific advisor. And then that advisor will take it from there. So advising@aacc.edu. And again, we will craft the classes based on what you're bringing into AACC and what that 4-year institution wants from you or the job field wants from you.
Thank you. We have another question that I'm going to ask Kristen Vickery to answer. Due to many reasons, I haven't taken my SATs. Is there anything I can do about that when I attend AACC or transfer? Ms. Vickery, if you could answer that question.
Hi, Cassandra. Thank you. So if you have not taken your SATs, you're fine. So what I would like you to do is to contact the testing office at arnold-testing.aacc.edu, and we will help advise you, we will help counsel you as to what options you have outside of your SAT that can be used for entrance into begin classes.
Thank you. Now we have a financial aid question. Thank you for your help. Also, I think I just lost it. What happened there? Thank you for your help, and then it went away. Okay.
Sorry, Cassandra, I just answered that one.
Okay, great. Okay. Are the personal registration days for graduating seniors? Yes, they're for graduating seniors and those who would like to participate in ECAG. And by school, you will receive an invitation. We're working on it. If you have any questions about it, you can always email me at csmoore@aacc.edu or admissions@aacc.edu. We'll be happy to answer that question. When I applied for ACC, there was no computer science major option. So I want to know, do you guys have a computer major? And I'm going to pitch that question to Ms. Dr. Khadijah Richmond.
Thank you. So we do not have a major that is specifically labeled computer science, but we do have majors that will prepare you to earn your bachelor's or master's in computer science. Again, you don't have to try to figure this out. And that would be the same if you're asking about video game design, if you're asking about taking coding classes. Email your advisor, advising@aacc.edu, and they will help you find a major that fits you best. We do have majors that will facilitate a smooth transfer into a bachelor's or graduate degree in computer science.
Thank you. Now we have another financial aid question. How do I access the FAFSA free application for federal student aid from the MyCC website? Ms. Guru, can you answer that?
Just to clarify, to actually go out and complete your FAFSA, if you go to the My Student Aid website, it's one of the choices on the top. It's one of the tabs that says complete FAFSA, and you would pull that down there. And it's also available, as I mentioned, on the app. If you want to download the app to your phone, you can do it that way as well. And it's My FAFSA on the phone as well. So it's one of the tabs at the top. I can't recall off the top of my head what the tab is called, but it is definitely there. So take a look. And if you run into any problems, please reach out to us. Our email address is finaid, FINAID, @aacc.edu, and we'll be able to pull it up on our screen and walk you through it.
And stay with us, Tara.
Sure.
Another question, I haven't filled out my FAFSA. Will it be too late to get grants or loans for next year?
That's a very good question. Actually, as I mentioned, there are actually two FAFSAs available right now. So there's the 1920 FAFSA, which is the FAFSA we would use to award aid for the summer. But then there's also the 2021 FAFSA, which is the one that we would use to award aid for the fall and for that year. So for the fall and the spring. So I would recommend right now, depending on which term you want to take classes, to fill out maybe both FAFSAs, but definitely fill out the 2021 FAFSA. And it's definitely not too late. And don't forget also to apply for AACC scholarships, because we're awarding the scholarships for the fall right now.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I'm going to also ask Kristen Vickery, Director of Testing, to take, what if we were supposed to take the AccuPlacer test before all this happened? What do we do now?
Hi, Cassandra. I was right in the middle of typing the answer. So what you're going to do is you're going to email us at arnold-testing.aacc.edu, and we will help walk you through the process so that you can get that taken care of right from home.
Thank you. Carly's asking, how much would a standard 3-credit class cost? So Carly, you want to do it you wanted to think about it this way. If you live in the county, you're a county resident, it'll be $116 per credit hour, 116 times 3, plus $25 for the a registration fee, plus $75 for the general student fee. So we're looking at about $448, and that may not include a lab if the class requires it, a lab fee, and it does not include books, but it gives you a sense of how much it would cost. We have another one. Is it difficult to transfer to an institution out of state? Ms.
I can share this with Marcus.
Sure, we can tag team it. Go ahead.
Okay. Tag. Okay, so no, it's not difficult to transfer to an institution out of state. I'll do all the easy parts. So no, it's not difficult. And we need to know what school you're planning to transfer, and we need to know the major. Marcus is the best person to answer this question because he actually formulates agreements with these institutions to smooth that transition.
Yeah, and it truly depends on the institution of your choice. And so we would want to know more information of what institution it is. If you're transferring out of state, higher education is different in each state. And so here in the state of Maryland, we require a certain number of arts and humanities courses or a certain number of math courses per each program. And so if we are transferring, say, to the University of Hawaii, right? I wish I was there as well. If we're transferring there and they want you to take 2 maths, we would need to know that first, right? And that's why Dr. Richmond said to start early. And so if we wanted to transfer there, we want to go ahead and make sure we have 2 mathematics courses within our degree. We also want to make sure that we're communicating with that 4-year institution and letting them know our intentions to end up transferring as well. So it's not difficult to transfer, as Dr. Richmond said. It's just things that we want to make sure that we have in place, and we want to have a plan to ensure that all of your credits here at Anne Arundel transfers to that next institution.
Thank you. Now we have a question about orientation. Will there be a new student orientation? If so, will it be online? I'm going to ask Dean Dangerfield to answer that question.
Thank you, Cassandra. Yes, there will be an orientation online. We have updated the orientation to address some of those questions that specifically concern working in a virtual environment, outlining what resources are available. Once again, some of them are already discussed by Dr. Patterson. Making sure you have access to the online learning management system. So there's information about how to access your MyACC account, as well as Canvas, which is the learning management system where most of your courses will be housed while you're enrolled in online courses. And our orientation program will help you to connect and get some viable and important information about enrolling in AACC.
Okay, thank you. So, Shea Hall, Northeast High School, one of my schools that I've been affiliated with for 16 years, the home of the Eagle. My son just graduated from Northeast. We applied for FAFSA for the Maryland Promise. So I'm going to pitch this question to Ms. Tara Carew, and please advise Shea what the next step should be.
Thank you, Cassandra. Funny, I was actually just replying to him. So 2 things. When you're dealing with the Maryland Promise, you want to make sure you're talking to MHEC, Maryland Higher Education Commission, and also talking to AACC. So it sounds like the last thing he was waiting on was his transcripts, which have been set. What I would recommend doing is going out to the MHEC website, checking his MD CAPS account. That's the account we suggested setting up. So check your MD CAPS account and make sure all of the items are listed as complete there. Also, he wants to check his My AACC account to make sure that we have everything on our side as well. If he has any questions at all after checking those 2 locations, he can always email us again at finaid@aacc.edu.
Thank you. And we have answered all but one question I see here. One of our attendees asked, how do I select my fall classes again? And I've finished everything else, but I'm still confused. So I'm going to ask you to send me that email and let us have a conversation. about where you are in the process, and I will be happy to help direct you to your next steps. Cassandra Moore, CS Moore at aacc.edu. Oh, another question. We're in Carroll County, and my daughter will be going to AACC and then Johnson & Wales in Miami for baking and pastry. Will any culinary classes be on site this semester? She's been accepted to both. So I would like someone from, who would like to answer that question from our panel of experts?
I can answer that, Cassandra. It's Mike.
Thank you.
So for summer, the answer is no. For fall, we are in the process of trying to identify which courses would be offered in a face-to-face capacity, and certainly culinary is high on the list. So I don't want to say a definite yes right now, but it is very high on the list of what would come back to campus for fall. And just to put a plug in for that program right now, also, they are creating and have been creating tutorials online so that students can take the lessons and have the lessons at home in their own kitchens. Those will be even better as we have time to do better videos over the summer. But certainly we would be letting the public know as soon as we make final decisions on what's coming back for fall as early as possible.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Gavin. Let's see what else we have here. I tried to register my daughter for the Student Success Seminar, ACA 100, wonderful, but was unable to because of missing information needed to complete registration. It starts July 7th. She applied to AACC to start this fall and has a MyACC account. Because that's a registration issue, we work very closely with registration. I'm going to suggest that you send that question to records@aacc.edu, and I will tell you they will respond promptly. This weekend, they had great oversight. They had great oversight over the questions that were coming through, and they were sending them to admissions, the admissions team, to the advising team. They will get back to you right away once they determine what the issue is. But I'm going to suggest that you send that email via the MyACC portal. So your daughter will use her MyACC email address to ask that question. They'll get right back to you. Okay, let's see here. How do you make the adjustment about residency? We have been an Anne Arundel resident for 7 years, but living in our current home for almost 3. During the application process, we were considered out of residence. Please send that email, the same email. It may be that it was a human error in your application process, but you're going to start with us first. So send it to admissions@aacc.edu and let us do a little bit of homework and get back to you. We need to see if it's human error or what happened. Let's see here. I have a child who planned to dual enroll with ACC this year. Will it be available this fall? Yes, fall registration begins June 1st, and we are registering students for summer as early college access program participants and for fall. Fall classes, I will tell you that fall registration begins June 1st. Sorry to ask, but how do we choose our fall classes again? Finished everything else. So our scheduled classes will be available soon. That has to do with your major. I'm going to ask you to send that question to advising@aacc.edu, and they will make sure, based on your major, who you should be in contact with to select your classes and build that schedule. Let's see here. Do you guys give student IDs for students, discounts for books and laptops, for example? Well, we do have student IDs, and I don't know if I'm answering this correctly, Tamara, but I do know with the student ID, you'll be eligible for discounts. It may be an Amazon discount or some other discount. So it depends on the organization and whether that organization will allow for a student discount, but we do know many places will give them with a valid student ID. And if I'm not answering that question, please let me know. If class, okay, let's see here. If registration begins on June 1st and virtual person registration dates begin the week after, will a lot of classes be full by the time I register? I can't speak to that, but we will get you through. We have a very good relationship with Learning, and I will tell you, in all the years that we conducted personal registration day in the high schools, which generally went from March 29th to mid-June, sometimes the classes will fill up. We would reach out to the Learning division. They would look and they would open up sections. Don't worry about that. We will take care of you and make sure that your student gets the registration that they want. And I believe that is the last question. Next slide. As we close, I want to circle back to the question that your student always asks. Well, I have to figure out Arundel Community College by myself. And the answer simply is a resounding no. We are here and we're happy to assist and support your student success. Thank you. Thank you for coming, sharing your evening with us, and have a great rest of the evening. Take care.